Hello, fellow football fans. My name is Zoe Lelinski, and welcome to another episode of the Dgmg podcast. This is the first episode I've made in probably about a month. I've had a pretty busy summer, but I'm really hoping to get back into the swing of things, especially as the season's getting going. If you guys haven't noticed, I have a new awesome background filled with everything I love. The Bears, Taylor Swift, Fleetwood Mac, the Badgers. That's my school, baby. Let's go. Big season coming for us. Let's go. Come on. I did miss out on football season tickets this year, so if anybody has them and they're listening to this, which who knows, maybe you aren't, but I will pay for some. Please help me out. I really want to go see some games this year. But anyway, I have a hot take for you guys. Before I get into everything, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Commanders just released new uniforms for this upcoming season, and I just gotta say, I think they have one of the best uniforms in the entire league. Seeing these uniforms, they now have one of the best jerseys in the league. Might be a hot take. They're going back retro, early 2000s or 2010s even. That's not even retro. What am I saying? But anyway, they got the stripe back on their helmets. They look like what they looked like a couple years ago before they went through a whole name change and everything. The Commanders are looking fancy after having a great season last year. I think they have some of the best uniforms in the game now. I mean, the Seahawks, there's competition with the Seahawks, Eagles. Eagles, I'll forever stand by the fact that they have the best colors. That green, blue, whatever you want to call the color, is beautiful, and I love their helmets. Coming from a Bears fan, I mean, Bears have a fun classic uniform, but other than that, I mean, it's not as creative as some others. But I'm really excited for what I have in store here. I have a couple new things planned that I'm going to try out. I'd love to hear any thoughts in the comments, whatever you guys want. Also, anytime you guys have any questions that you want to hear on this podcast, please comment them somewhere. I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram, YouTube or Spotify, whatever you guys are listening on. Just please, I need ideas. I want more ideas. I'll talk about anything. I love football, as you know, of course. But anyway, to get into things, I'm going to talk about some news that's been going around the league the past few weeks, and then I'm going to get into a couple of questions that I have gotten from my TikTok page. I just released a video there asking for comments. So again, like I said, please put those down. But getting into it, earlier this week I saw an article on NFL Network. They had Omarion Hampton ranked as the 13th best running back in the league. Personally, I think that's quite high. I mean, we have not seen him play yet. He's a rookie running back on a team with Najee Harris, which I think Omarion Hampton can go right in and get starting reps, especially with some of the problems Najee has had. I think he can go right in and get starting reps right away. So I think Najee Harris is a great back to pair with him. But as we saw in Pittsburgh, it did not go perfectly for him. Omarion Hampton's one of the most talented running backs in the draft, obviously, but putting him at 13, which, by the way, he went before running back Ashton Gianti, who's also a rookie, drafted right before the Bears pick, unfortunately. I just think it's a little strange with Omarion Hampton being that high. He's ahead of James Conner, Kenneth Walker, and Breece Hall. Breece Hall might be splitting time this year, but he's proved that he's one of the top running backs in the league, and Kenneth Walker, when he's healthy, is also a running back I'd have over a lot of guys. So I think that's a little strange. And then also, I don't know if anyone saw it, but Superman is on my mind lately. I just saw Superman in theaters last Thursday, and that's one of the best superhero movies I've seen in ages. I'm usually a Marvel fan, but that Superman movie was amazing. I was never really as much of a fan as the Henry Cavill Superman. I think the actor is great and everything, but those movies never really piqued my interest. They're just always too dark and sad. I love the happy movies, and James Gunn did a great job with the music choices and everything. But on that topic, Superman versus Jalen Hurts, I saw the actor who played Superman, David Cornsweet. He was asked who he'd rather have run the tush push for the Eagles, and he said Jalen Hurts, which ignore the obvious of Superman having super strength and everything. I mean, I kind of agree with the actor. He picked Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is the only person in the world that you'd want running the tush push, and that's why the Eagles are so good at it. It's not just the offensive line. We've seen a rotation of offensive linemen, and they're still perfecting that play. Jalen Hurts is a beast. I mean, have you seen the way he squats? He squats an insane amount of weight, and that translates to the game, obviously. He knows how to get into the end zone, knows how to get a couple of yards when they need it with the tush push. Take Jalen Hurts 100 times out of 100. Because obviously, if you want to be that type of person and say, "Oh, a Superman," because he has super strength and everything, he doesn't know how to play football, does he? I mean, he's apparently a nerd with Clark Kent. He's a reporter. But yeah, Superman's on my mind. I did rank it 4 out of 5 on my movie rankings, but it's one of the best superhero movies I've seen in a really long time. All the actors were great in it. So, but getting into some Q&A of what some people wanted to hear in the comments, and also on the topic of Jalen Hurts, where does Jalen Hurts rank on my quarterbacks list? And that's an easy number 5. I think there's 4 quarterbacks who are far above the rest, in my opinion, with Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You could put the 4 of those players in any order, and I'd accept it as long as you have enough background and enough reasoning to support why you have them in those positions. I say any one of those 4 quarterbacks could be number 1 in the league. Patrick Mahomes is my number 1 just because, I mean, he's been in the league for 7 or 8 years now, which is crazy how time flies because I did not think he was in the league for that long. But Patrick Mahomes, my number 1. I mean, in his arguably worst season, he has almost 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. So yes, he did struggle with turnovers a little bit more than he usually does, but he also had less wide receiver help because half his team got injured. Offensive line was also in a decline this year. We'll see what happens next season with Travis Kelce continuing to get a bit older, but the wide receivers should be coming back. They should be getting a little bit more talent back this next season, so I'm curious to see how that goes. He's my number 1 right now. And then, again, these next 3, even more so than just Patrick Mahomes at number 1. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen just won MVP. I'm putting him at 2. This season in particular, he didn't as much, but he usually does struggle with turnovers a little bit. But he is an insanely good runner. That's not someone we want to go one-on-one against. 4,300 yards total, 40 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. By far his best season in the league, and that's why he won MVP. And he's doing it with not a clear number 1 wide receiver at all. Khalil Shakir or Keon Coleman were his two top options. Please remind me if I'm forgetting someone, but he's doing what he's doing with the talent he has, and the one guy stopping him is Patrick Mahomes, so I think it's pretty clear to put Pat Mahomes 1 tier above him. Joe Burrow is next, though. I mean, you can almost have a similar argument that you have for both the other players with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. They might not have help. Joe Burrow does have a lot of wide receiver help. He's even playing with one of his college teammates, obviously, in Jamar Chase. But that defense is probably one of the worst defenses in the league. And when you're going up against teams who are scoring upwards of 30 to 40 points against you almost every week, it's hard to keep up with that. And Joe Burrow continuously does keep up with that. Almost 5,000 total passing yards this season with 43 touchdowns. So he was up there in the MVP conversation too. Just not as good of a overall record. So say what you will about that. Lamar Jackson, then I also have at 4. A lot of the same things with Josh Allen. I mean, those were the 2 quarterbacks that you had in conversation with MVP this past season. I mean, he nearly won his 3rd MVP, and he's only 28. I mean, that says as much as you need to know. That Ravens offense is scary. He's a top runner. Again, another player you don't want to go against when you're running. He's really good. I think those are the top 4 quarterbacks for sure. But getting into Jalen Hurts, where does Jalen Hurts rank? And I think he's clearly number 5 out of all the quarterbacks. You could maybe argue Jaden Daniels. I think it's way too early to argue Jaden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback. He played one great rookie season, and I'd want to see him play a little bit more. Jared Goff maybe, Stafford maybe, Baker Mayfield even maybe, but I think Jalen Hurts, he doesn't get enough credit, which is insane to say because he just won a Super Bowl, and that was his 2nd Super Bowl he's played in. He has a lot of talent around him. He's, again, one of the better running quarterbacks in the league. I don't see why you put him any lower. Yes, he had help, but Joe Burrow has a lot of help. He has two of the best wide receivers in the league. He's had running back help. I don't see the argument for putting Jalen Hurts lower just because he has talent around him. You can't that can't be the only argument for why a quarterback's bad. What, you want them to have horrible players around them, then they're not going to win. Isn't the whole point of playing football winning? And Jalen Hurts clearly wins. He's a very talented quarterback. He's number 5 for me. Getting into sleeper teams, though, I have the Raiders and even Panthers, but Raiders in particular, I like the Pete Carroll signing at coach very much. I mean, other than the obvious Ben Johnson and maybe Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll was one of the best head coach hires in this offseason. He's proven what he can do as a head coach, brought the Seahawks to multiple Super Bowls. He's been out of the coaching cycle for, a year now, but he's a winning coach, brings the intensity, and then they added a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. They have Geno Smith at quarterback now, which is a huge improvement compared to Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. Just that alone, I think, increases the ability of this team in general. I mean, Geno Smith, that Seahawks team last season was pretty solid, and Geno Smith was running that. And then they got Ashton Gianti, who is a generational running back. I mean, I feel like you say this all the time about a lot of players, generational players. Ashton Gianti is an insane player. That's why he was picked top 10. And then Brock Bowers, coming off a generational season for a rookie tight end, even after Sam Laporta had it the year before, things like that, breaking rookie records. So they have a lot of options on the offense side of the ball. And then Max Crosby is one of the best defensive players in the league. So they have talent on both sides of the ball. I'm really excited to see them play. Most people have them rated in the bottom 5 teams in the league, and I just don't think that will be the case. They are playing in a harder division with the Broncos and Chiefs and Chargers even. So there'll be some competition there, and I think that might be what holds them back, if anything. But I think they're a sleeper team for me. Obviously, they're a sleeper team. They could definitely surprise some people, depending on, their schedule. I mean, their schedule is a little tough, again, like I said, with the division. Moving on, finally, to the Bears. There was also a question about the Bears. Are the Bears going to the Super Bowl? Yes, they are going to the Super Bowl. Ben Johnson is the missing piece. But to get real, no, they're not. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl this year. However, they have a really good chance of making the playoffs. As I mentioned, I think Ben Johnson really was the missing piece for this team. As we saw last season, they had no consistency in play calling. Their defensive coordinator left midseason, and Matt Eberflus was fired after the Thanksgiving game. Thank gosh, because he ruined my Thanksgiving. So thank you, Matt Eberflus. I really appreciate it. But Caleb Williams, under everything that happened to him, had a pretty solid rookie season. I mean, 3,500 yards-ish, I'm pretty sure. I'm going off the top of my head here right now. But he had a pretty solid season, giving the inconsistency he had in play calling. He had arguably one of the worst play callers in the league last season, who also got fired. I don't know how he is hired somewhere else, Shane Waldron. I don't know. I had higher expectations for him. We also have insane talent. Cole Kmet, I think, is really an underrated tight end in general. And then we got Colson Loveland, lost Keenan Allen, but got Luther Burden, adding to Roma Dunze and DJ Moore. That's insane talent on the offense. And PFF ranks our offensive line at number 4, which I don't know the last time I was able to say that about the Bears offense. The Bears offense is primed for a good season. They have Ben Johnson, who's one of the most innovative play callers in the league right now. And then that defense, the big weakness of this team is the defensive line, which they did try to upgrade a little bit. And then the secondary, Jalen Johnson is arguably top 3, number 1 cornerback in the league. So I'm really excited to see how they play. But to be realistic about the Bears season, I think they're probably going to get 9 to 10 wins. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to stay in the average range for them. They have a super hard schedule. They're in the best division in the league. So I think, yes, they could have a chance to go worst to first or, get second. But they got a lot of competition in that division, and they play 6 games against those teams, which those are not freebies. And then other than that, they play a couple other pretty solid teams. So I think honestly, the biggest part holding the Bears back this season is going to be their schedule. I think they'll make it in as a wild card team, and we'll see where they fare from there. But yeah, I mean, as a Bears fan, obviously I hope they win as many games as possible. And then to end this episode off, this is a little bit of a shorter episode. I'm just figuring out a couple organization layout things for this podcast going forward, especially as we head into the regular season. But that's the topic I want to go on to now. I have an idea for new fans, anyone trying to get into the NFL. And if you don't know anything, if you didn't grow up watching football, there's a lot of rules and it can be really confusing. So I want to try to have a segment on this podcast, and I hope people appreciate it. Just explaining some basic rules and basic things that happen in football, especially as the season goes on. If there's anything trending like refs again, lots of problems with refs. Lots of people hate on the refs, especially when it comes to the Chiefs. Is it rigged? Is it not? I think it's not rigged. I think refs just suck sometimes. Or if there's a popular play, a trending play, I'll explain these. But since we're heading into preseason, I'm just going to explain the basics of that, especially since we're so close to the regular season coming. I feel like it's been forever since I watched football. But now we're going to go look into the preseason games. Preseason games, there's 3 games that every single team plays. It's before the regular season starts. You have an opportunity to see maybe how your team might play once the regular season does hit. But it's most importantly a time where players are trying out to make the teams. The starters don't usually play as much. You'll see them play a little bit, giving them a warm-up to the regular season. But preseason games are for backup players or potential cut candidates to show how good they are, to try to make teams. Kind of just a warm-up for the season. They play other teams. There's usually another Hall of Fame game that 2 teams get to play. So there's 2 teams in the league that get to play 4 games before the regular season starts. These games also do not count towards anyone's record. They're literally just warm-ups for these teams, trying to plan out possible plays, anything like that. It's pretty simple. If you guys have any other questions about it, please let me know. I don't know how well I explained that, but I'm really excited about this segment. I know a lot of people who want to try to get into football a bit more, and it can be really confusing. So I hope you guys like this episode. It's a little bit shorter this time, trying to get warmed up for the regular season, since we're about a month and a half away from that. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.